So Warner Brothers is making a Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie. Who knows how that's going to work or who's going to be on that team roster. In fact, Harley, while she herself has never been on the Birds of Prey, her fellow Gotham City sirens, Poison Ivy and Catwoman, have both done time with Barbara Gordon's Birds of Prey. So we don't know if it's going to be an amalgam of the two teams or Birds of Prey versus Gotham City Sirens. Who knows? But with both a Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie and a solo Batgirl movie aggressively moving ahead with the same screenwriter over at the DCEU, well, I think it's time to cast Batgirl. Oh boy! And it's been specified that we're going with the OG Batgirl, Barbara Gordon. Now, on that note, before we get started, I just want to clarify that while I was considering including actresses of color on my list, I ultimately decided against it. Why? Well, I feel that while some characters have been very successfully race-bended, and I feel that some going forward are prime candidates like Poison Ivy, I think she's actually a perfect candidate for race-bending, I feel that Barbara Gordon has such an iconic look, and fans have taken such a strong emotional journey with that very specific version of the character, that such a change just would not be successful. I don't think it would go over well. I came close, though. I came really close to putting some actresses of color on my list, particularly because Warner Brothers just hired an Asian director, and Cassandra Cain is such a popular Batgirl herself. But I think that to meld Barbara Gordon and Cassandra Cain into a single Batgirl would be hugely disrespectful to both characters, to both versions of the character. All right, so what are we looking for here? Well, we already know that Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn is going to co-star, if not outrightly star, in that Birds of Prey movie, which means we're not only looking for a contemporary of Margot Robbie, but someone who is a nice contrast to her psycho cheesecake image. And we also know that Barbara Gordon is a techie librarian, so we need someone who can convincingly play that role. I know some of you are like, any actor can play anything, Grace, but you know, why should the DCEU make it harder for themselves? Let's get somebody in here that we're excited about that seems like the character, right? We also need someone who seems like she doesn't take no for an answer, even when Batman initially tells her to go home. No Batgirl for you. He didn't want one. He's like, I only have Robins. As I recently pointed out, it was her idea. If you want to know my ideas for the story of a Batgirl movie, I'll put a link down below to my recent video about the pros and cons of making such a movie. But I also feel it's important that while she has Barbara Gordon's trademark upbeat personality, she also has to have the gravitas of someone who's willing to take the hard hits, the punches to the face, that go hand in hand with being a vigilante. And oh yeah, this is really important. I don't envy casting directors at the DCEU these days. We need someone who is willing to join this franchise at this less than ideal stage, right? I mean, you can be on the phone with their representation saying, wouldn't it be exciting if your client was the one to turn things around? But that's an awfully big if. I mean, you can see the problem that the new Wonder Woman movie is having attracting talent, right? But then also on the flip side, you need an actress who won't further bring down the DCEU, the image of the franchise, by joining, right? Like, whoo, that's the best you can get. And, you don't want that reaction from fans either. It's tricky, but I think I have some really good solutions here. All right, so my top choice by far and away, as I've mentioned recently, is Alison Brie. If you go and watch the first season of Glow on Netflix, you will be equally convinced. She's practically playing Batgirl. And in fact, on that show, she is a perfect contrast to Betty Gilpin, who kind of has a Margot Robbie vibe and Harley Quinn vibe with her character. Brie is also upbeat, but at the same time smart and scrappy, and is beloved by fans. Fans would be thrilled with her inclusion, but I still think she has the respect of the media. However, despite lots of fans and respect from the media, her career has stalled as of late. She just hasn't been able to, to gain any ground. And she's certainly not helped by the recent problems that the Franco family has run into. And of course, she's a part of that because she recently married, they've been dating for a very long time, but she recently married Dave Franco. So she would be lucky to get this gig, and the DCEU would be lucky to have her. It's a win-win. All right, now if she won't do it, runner-up is Jane Levy. This redhead is also a fan favorite. By the way, anyone can dye their hair. We don't have to cast a redhead. And some of you might be like, why is Emma Stone not on your list, Grace? I don't think Emma Stone would join the DCEU right now. But anyway, I think Jane Levy would. So Jane Levy has been in some legit box office hits, right? Some sleeper hits. But she's also been in some flops. And so for whatever reason, I think partially because of those flops, her career has just never made it to the next level either. So I think that, again, this is a win-win casting choice. Not quite as good as Brie Larson, but I think it's pretty darn good. That's why she's runner-up. And she also has a bit of a softer look than Brie, but still enough of a sarcastic edge to her that she still contrasts well with Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. Then, how about Olivia Cooke, right? I mean, she already has the techie part down pat after her excellent turn as Artemis in Ready Player One for, wait for it, Warner Brothers. She's already with the studio. She also has plenty of experience playing characters with a lot going on beneath the surface, making her a great choice for someone with a dual identity, plus all that other drama that comes down further down the line with the Killing Joke and being paralyzed, becoming Oracle, etc. If the DCEU plans to go there, but they would be crazy not to. I mean, that is the Barbara Gordon story. How can you not tell it? Oh, I'm excited. I hope they do. And then while Cooke might have just starred in Ready Player One for Steven Spielberg, her career also has not been going so well. And she also seems to be running out of chances to level up. So I think she would also jump at the Batgirl role within the DCEU. Then, with Truth or Dare, Lucy Hale has just proven that she can sell movie tickets thanks to her work on Pretty Little Liars. Yet she still is having trouble jumping from the small screen to the big one, right? I don't think offers are flooding at her, despite a pretty good box office performance this past weekend. She has a spunky vibe, so I think she'd be a good Batgirl, and she does seem a bit younger than Margot Robbie. I think she would still make for a compelling Batgirl. Now, if we're going with a younger Batgirl, we might also want to consider Andie MacDowell's daughter, Margaret Qualley. She impressed me very much in Death Note, although I don't know if the DCEU would want someone from that movie, which fans really had a negative reaction to, coming over to their franchise, right? But she was also in The Nice Guys for Shane Black. She's got that going for her. Plus, she has some artistic credibility after recently starring opposite Melissa Leo as nuns in the 1960s in a film which made the rounds and garnered some attention. I don't want to oversell it, but it's respectable on the film festival circuit last year. Now, if none of these actresses will do it, I have two more. One I'm loath to recommend, but it's Hailee Steinfeld. Hailee Steinfeld to me is just a bit much. And I think audiences, for the most part, I know some of you are Hailee Steinfeld fans, but for the most part, I think she's been rejected by moviegoers. And because she stumbles more than she shines. I mean, did she get a bigger part in the Pitch Perfect movies? No. Edge of 17 got a lot of awards attention, didn't do a lot of box office. And I think she just seems like she's trying a little bit too hard as an actress on and off camera. So that grating aspect to her, I don't know if I'd want it in the DCEU. Plus, she's in the upcoming Bumblebee movie, part of the one franchise that right now has a worse reputation than the DCEU. But the media has always taken to Steinfeld, and that image that she has, that she's worked so hard to hone, well, it is a good contrast with Margot Robbie's, and it is a pretty darn good fit with Barbara Gordon. I can really see it as much as I don't want to. Also, with her Oscar nomination for True Grit, and she got a lot of acclaim, a Golden Globe nomination for The Edge of 17, she might not only be drawn to the dramatic elements of Barbara Gordon's story, but with her pedigree as an actress, she might be able to sell that dramatic story to DCEU skeptics as well. So I might, as much as I don't want to, I have to recommend it because I think it could work. And then finally, Alexandra Daddario. Why am I reluctant to recommend her? I thought she was great in San Andreas, and I also thought she was pretty good in Baywatch. But on that note, she was in Baywatch, and then she also co-starred in the direct-to-streaming The Layover opposite Kate Upton. Yeah, her career is not going so good. She would jump at the chance to be part of any franchise. However, I think she has a little bit of a cheesecake image, a little bit too similar to Margot Robbie. So if you were to cast her, I think a lot of people, particularly female viewers, would be like, whoa, Warner Brothers and the DCEU, what kind of movie are you trying to make here? Is this like a legit, comic book movie with female characters that we're supposed to take seriously? Or is this like a sleepover pajama romp? And, I think the DCEU would be like, both, maybe? Come on, work with us. And if we're going to work with them on that idea, if that was the direction they were going, although why would you hire Kathy Yan to direct that, right? But I think Alexandra Daddario could do that. She has the cheesecake element, but I think she could also sell the intellectual side of Barbara Gordon. I think it would be really hard for female viewers to get into her as Barbara Gordon, but I think she could eventually get them there. And I've liked her work. I just think she would be a really tough sell, and that's not the image that they want for a Birds of Prey movie, particularly these days with the Me Too movement, etc. So anyway, those are my casting choices for Batgirl. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about my ideas and your own ideas down below. Also, what you think of Batgirl finally coming to the silver screen. Well, she's been there before, but I think this is her best chance yet. Do you think it's going to work out? And what do you think of her debuting opposite Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn? Write those thoughts down below, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.